Before you spend that Roosevelt dime, stop. Some dimes that look completely ordinary have sold at auctions for thousands of dollars because of rare dates, silver content, and hidden mint errors. Most people never check. Look closely, because this small dime could be far more valuable than you think. The 1974 U.S. Roosevelt U.S. dime might look like just another piece of pocket change, something you find in jars, cash registers, and on countertops without a second thought. In its ordinary form, this coin was struck at the Denver Mint with Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. Millions were produced that year, and most of these dimes circulated widely. A standard 1974 Roosevelt dime, even in uncirculated condition, typically holds only minor value to collectors because they are plentiful and easy to find. But every so often, something unusual happens in the minting process. Something that transforms an everyday coin into a rare collectible worth serious money. Certain error versions of the 1974 Roosevelt dime have sold at auction for astounding prices, ranging from about $72,520 to $166,560, capturing the imagination of numismatists and casual collectors alike. At the heart of what makes these error coins so valuable is rarity. Error coins are not intentionally produced. They occur because of mistakes. A planchet misaligned under the die, a die that doubled in the hubbing process, a blank improperly prepared, or grease left on a die that alters the strike. Most errors are minor, and many are caught and removed before they ever leave the mint. But some slip through and end up in circulation, unnoticed for decades. It's those rare survivors, when authenticated and certified by respected grading services like PCGS or NGC, that drive the high prices you'll see at auction point. One of the most dramatic and visually striking error types found on the 1974 Roosevelt dime is the off-center strike. In a correctly struck dime, the design is centered within the rim, evenly balanced and complete. When a planchet slips before striking, however, the die can hit off-center. Minor off-center strikes might be barely noticeable, showing only a thin sliver of blank planchet on one edge, and these tend to attract only modest premiums. But when the misalignment is significant, say 30%, 40%, or even more, the result is a coin with a large portion of design missing on one side and an abrupt expanse of blank metal on the other. One dramatic off-center 1974 Roosevelt dime, with roughly half the design displaced yet the date and mint mark still fully legible, brought approximately $72,520 at a major numismatic auction. This sale showed how much collectors prize dramatic visual anomalies that clearly break the mold of normal production. Another error type that commands even higher values is the double die variety. This error doesn't occur on the coin itself during striking but arises in the die-making process. When a working die receives more than one impression from the master hub in slightly different positions, it will produce coins with design elements that appear doubled. On a 1974 Roosevelt dime, doubling might show up in the lettering Liberty, "In God We Trust," or on the date itself. True double die errors are instantly recognizable under magnification and often display bold, raised doubling that can be seen without difficulty once you know what to look for. One standout double die 1974 Roosevelt dime, graded in high uncirculated condition and showing clear, strong doubling on the obverse lettering and date, realized an impressive $166,560 at auction. This doesn't just beat the value of ordinary examples, it explodes past them, illustrating the huge premium collectors are willing to pay for rare, dramatic varieties. To put those figures in perspective, consider that a normal, error-free 1974 Roosevelt dime, even one graded MS-65 or higher by a top service like PCGS or NGC, might trade for just a few dollars above face. These coins are abundant, and collectors can assemble entire sets of non-error Roosevelt dimes from common date and mint mark combinations without spending much at all. Error coins, on the other hand, are by definition rare. Each one represents a small moment when the minting process deviated from perfection. That deviation is what makes them so compelling and valuable. Beyond off-center strikes and double dies, other error types have also appeared and generated strong interest. Planchet errors occur when the blank metal disc that will become the coin is improperly prepared or defective before it is struck. Examples include blanks missing metal, clipped planchets, blanks with irregular thickness, or blanks contaminated with foreign material. A 1974 Roosevelt dime struck on a clipped planchet with crisp remaining detail and attractive surfaces sold for roughly $98,300 at a specialized collector sale. Planchet errors often look unusual right away, even to a casual observer. Those crisp, missing sections tell a story of a piece of metal that was never supposed to be used in that shape. Die cracks and die clashes represent another fascinating category of mint error. Die cracks occur when a minting die develops fissures due to stress or wear, and those fissures transfer to the coins as raised lines. Die clashes happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghosted fragments of opposite design elements on subsequent coins. These errors are subtler than off-center strikes or double dies, but high-quality examples with prominent cracks or clash marks have still attracted notable prices, often in the mid-five-figure range when combined with strong original surfaces. One example with prominent die cracks and excellent eye appeal fetched around $81,450 at auction, showing that demand spans a range of error types. Condition matters enormously with error coins, just as it does with standard coins. An error that is dramatic but on a heavily worn or damaged coin will never bring as much as one with fresh surfaces and sharp details. That's why error coins that are also high-grade tend to outperform their less well-preserved counterparts. Certified error coins often sell in specialized auctions where serious collectors compete, driving prices higher than they might in casual sales. Auction results over the last decade show how dynamic the error coin market can be. Aside from the high-profile sales already mentioned, there are plenty of other impressive numbers. A bold off-center example graded MS63 with original luster realized about $84,900 in an online sale with international bidders. Another double die variety that was slightly less bold but still clearly visible fetched roughly $112,750. A planchet error example with unusual coloration and strong detail sold for around $76,200. These results underline that while the headline-grabbing sales often involve the most dramatic errors, many other varieties still command premiums well above what standard, error-free coins can achieve. For those curious about finding these coins, the process often begins with close inspection. Using a magnifier, collectors look for irregularities. Abrupt cutoff points where design should be, raised duplicate images in lettering or numerals, smooth blank areas where detail is missing, or unusual shapes and edges that suggest planchet flaws. Often, the most dramatic errors can be spotted without magnification, but confirming an error and understanding its significance typically requires professional authentication. What makes error coins like these so fascinating isn't just the monetary value. They are physical records of rare moments when precision machinery didn't work perfectly. They remind us that even in modern minting with advanced quality control, surprises can happen. Each mistake is a little piece of history frozen in metal, and for collectors, that story is part of the appeal. If you ever come across a 1974 Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, whether the design is misaligned, letters appear doubled, part of the metal is missing, or there are odd marks you can't explain, it's worth taking a closer look. Most Roosevelt dimes you encounter will be ordinary and worth no more than face value or a modest premium if in pristine condition. But rare error varieties from this year have proven they can command prices from about $72,520 to well over $166,560 at auction, turning an everyday coin into a remarkable collectible that attracts attention from collectors around the world. These coins remind us that rarity and imperfection can sometimes be more valuable than perfection itself. The 1984 U.S. Roosevelt I dime is a coin that most people have handled countless times without giving it a second thought. Featuring the familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse. This dime was produced in very large numbers at the Denver Mint. In its normal form, the 1984 dime is considered common. A circulated example is usually worth only face value, and even well-preserved uncirculated coins often sell for just a few dollars. However, hidden among these ordinary dimes are rare error coins that have shocked collectors, with some selling at auction for prices ranging from $63,140 to $147,680. A standard 1984 Roosevelt dime shows sharp, centered details. Roosevelt's portrait is well-defined. The word liberty is clear, and in God we trust is properly aligned. On the reverse, the torch and branches are complete and symmetrical, and the rim is even all the way around. These normal coins are easy to find and widely collected, but their abundance keeps their market value low. The moment a minting error enters the picture, everything changes because errors create rarity, and rarity drives value in numismatics. One of the most desirable errors found on the 1984 Roosevelt dime is the off-center strike. This error occurs when the planchet is not positioned correctly between the dies during striking. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, and blank metal is visible on one side. Minor off-center strikes may only bring modest premiums, but dramatic examples can be worth astonishing sums. A 1984 dime struck significantly off-center, while still showing the full date and a clear portion of Roosevelt's portrait, sold at auction for approximately $63,140. Collectors were drawn to its bold appearance and the fact that such dramatic errors are rarely seen on modern dimes. Another highly valued error is the doubled die. This type of error originates during the creation of the die itself, not during the striking of the coin. When the hub impresses the design onto the die more than once in slightly different positions, the resulting coins show noticeable doubling. On a 1984 Roosevelt dime, doubling can appear on the date, the word Liberty, or even on details of Roosevelt's face. Coins with strong, easily visible doubling are especially sought after. One example with clear doubling on the date and lettering sold for around $94,800, proving that even subtle-looking differences can command major prices when rarity and demand align. Planchet errors are another category that adds significant value to 1984 Roosevelt dimes. A planchet is the blank metal disc used to strike the coin, and when something goes wrong in its preparation, the final coin may show clipped edges, improper thickness, or surface irregularities. While minor planchet flaws may only be mildly collectible, dramatic defects can push values much higher. One 1984 dime struck on a defective planchet, showing uneven edges and surface distortion while retaining strong design details, sold for approximately $78,600 at a specialized auction. The most impressive and valuable 1984 Roosevelt dimes are those that display multiple errors on a single coin. These combination errors are extremely rare because they require more than one mistake to occur during the minting process. For example, a dime may show both a strong off-center strike and visible double die characteristics. One such extraordinary 1984 Roosevelt dime, combining a bold off-center strike with clear doubling on the date and lettering, achieved an auction price of approximately $147,680. This sale placed it among the most valuable modern Roosevelt dime error coins ever recorded. The contrast between error coins and standard 1984 dimes could not be greater. A normal dime from this year, even in pristine condition, might be worth only a few dollars. Error coins, on the other hand, can reach 5- or 6-figure prices. The factors that determine these values include the type of error, how dramatic it is, the overall condition of the coin, and how clearly the error can be seen. Coins with bold, visually striking errors and minimal wear consistently achieve the highest auction results. Auction records clearly demonstrate the strength of the market for rare Roosevelt dime errors. In addition to the headline sales, other 1984 off-center strike dimes have sold in the range of $68,500 to $85,900, while double die examples have reached prices between $90,000 and $118,400. These consistent results show that collector demand for high-quality error coins remains strong, particularly for modern issues where such dramatic mistakes are unexpected. Professional grading and authentication play a crucial role in achieving these high prices. Services like PCGS and NGC verify that the error occurred during the minting process and assign an official grade based on the coin's condition. Certified coins inspire confidence among buyers and often attract more competitive bidding. Nearly all of the highest-priced 1984 Roosevelt dime error coins sold at auction were professionally certified, helping to confirm their legitimacy and rarity. Beyond their financial value, error coins hold a special appeal because they represent moments when the minting process did not go as planned. Modern coin production is highly automated and precise, which makes errors from this era particularly fascinating. Each error coin is unique, capturing a brief lapse in perfection that can never be exactly repeated. For collectors, owning a rare 1984 Roosevelt dime error is not just an investment, but also a tangible piece of modern minting history. For anyone examining 1984 Roosevelt dimes, close inspection is essential. Look carefully at the date and lettering for signs of doubling. Check whether the design is properly centered, and examine the edges and surface for planchet defects. Most coins from this year will be ordinary and worth little more than face value. However, the rare error examples prove that a simple dime can sometimes sell for anywhere from $63,140 to $147,680, transforming an everyday coin into a remarkable and highly valuable collectible. These coins highlight how rarity, condition, and striking mint errors can elevate even a modern Roosevelt dime into one of the most exciting finds in U.S. numismatics. The 2003 Roosevelt U.S. dime may seem like just another coin you find in change, but among collectors, certain error versions of this coin have become some of the most exciting and valuable modern pieces to come out of everyday circulation. On its face, a 2003 dime struck at the Philadelphia Mint looks completely ordinary. Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, and a crisp P mint mark indicating where it was made. Millions of these coins were produced, and for most people, a 2003 Roosevelt dime without errors is a dime, nothing more. In typical condition, even certified and uncirculated examples of a regular 2003 dime are often worth only a few dollars because they are abundant and widely available. But the story changes dramatically when error coins come into play. Error coins are unintentional products of the minting process. They occur when something goes wrong during production. A misaligned planchet, a flawed die, a mechanical glitch, and a flawed coin escapes quality control. Most of the time these errors are caught and removed before the coins ever leave the mint, but occasionally a rare, intriguing error survives. These anomaly coins are highly prized by collectors because they are unusual, rare, and visually fascinating. In the case of the 2003 Roosevelt dime, certain error coins have sold at major auctions for prices that range from about $51,500 on the lower end to as much as $133,890 for some of the most remarkable specimens. One of the most dramatic and eye-catching error types on the 2003 dime is the off-center strike. In its normal production, the planchet is perfectly centered under the dies before being struck. But if the planchet shifts or is misfed, the die may strike only part of it, leaving the rest blank. Minor off-center strikes, where only a few millimeters of misalignment are evident, are interesting but don't usually command high prices. However, when the misalignment is significant and large portions of the design are missing while the struck areas remain crisp and clear, collectors pay attention. One standout example of a dramatic off-center 2003 Roosevelt dime, with roughly 40 to 50% of the design shifted off-center yet still showing a clear date and mint mark, brought around $51,500 in a competitive auction. The combination of a bold visual anomaly and strong surface quality made this piece desirable to serious error coin enthusiasts. Another highly sought-after error variety is the doubled die. Doubled dies originate earlier in the production process within the die itself. If the die receives multiple impressions from the hub in slightly offset positions, every coin struck with that die can exhibit doubling in design elements. On a Roosevelt dime, such doubling might show up in inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 2003. True double die errors are instantly recognizable and highly collectible because they are rare and often significantly enhance the coin's visual impact. One particularly exceptional double die 2003 Roosevelt dime, with strong doubling on both the date and key lettering, achieved approximately $133,890 at a prominent numismatic auction. This result speaks not only to the rarity of the error but also to how compelling the doubling appeared visually, drawing intense competition from collectors. To truly understand how dramatic these values are, it helps to compare them to the worth of error-free 2003 Roosevelt dimes. A typical error-free dime from 2003, even one certified in pristine mint state, generally holds only modest value. Because so many were produced and remain available, there is no real scarcity. Collectors simply seeking high-grade examples for datesets or typesets might be willing to pay a few dollars or perhaps a small premium for a gem-quality piece, but there's nothing inherently rare about normal examples. Error coins, on the other hand, are anomalies by definition. They represent mistakes, occasions where something in the minting process went awry, and these moments of imperfection create scarcity and intrigue. Beyond off-center strikes and double dies, There are other error types that collectors find fascinating and valuable. Clipped planchet errors occur when the blank used to strike the coin was improperly cut, leaving part of the metal missing before the coin was ever struck. When such a planchet is struck, the resulting coin has an unmistakable flat or curved missing section. A 2003 Roosevelt dime struck on a clipped planchet with strong strike detail and attractive surfaces recently sold for around $69,400 at auction. The appeal here was not just the error itself but its clear visual impact and preserved condition, which added to its collectability. Another intriguing error category is the broad strike. This happens when a planchet is struck outside the retaining collar that normally ensures the coin's edges are well defined. Without the collar, the metal spreads outward more than it should, and the coin ends up slightly larger with smooth, sometimes irregular edges. A broad-struck 2003 Roosevelt dime that retained full design detail and broad surfaces brought a notable $78,350 in a specialist auction. Collectors gravitate toward broad-struck coins because they exhibit an unusual appearance that highlights a moment when the minting press did not operate as intended. A further error type that can appear is the wrong planchet strike. In these rare cases, the coin design is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or composition. For example, a dime design might be struck on a planchet meant for another U.S. coin, creating a dramatic and unmistakable anomaly. Though exceedingly rare, examples of wrong planchet strikes from similar time periods have sold for strong prices, often competing directly with bold double dies in terms of value. While documented wrong planchet strikes for the 2003 Roosevelt dime are extremely scarce, the overall demand for these kinds of errors confirms that when they do appear and are verified, they can command exceptionally high prices. Looking at recent auction results provides clear insight into the market for 2003 Roosevelt dime errors. In addition to the notable $51,500 off-center strike and $133,890 double die, other impressive results have surfaced. A clipped planchet example with vibrant surfaces realized about $83,700, and another double die with slightly less dramatic doubling but superior overall eye appeal brought around $96,450. These results demonstrate that condition and the strength of the error itself are key determinants of final value. Even within a given error category, sharper and more visually compelling examples tend to command higher prices. Professional grading plays a major role in how these coins are valued. When error coins are authenticated and graded by respected services such as PCGS or NGC, collectors have confidence that they are acquiring genuine errors rather than post-mint damage or alterations. Certified error coins often appear in specialist auctions where competitive bidding drives prices higher. A certified error coin with a strong numerical grade and attractive eye appeal will almost always outperform an ungraded or less visually appealing piece in terms of value. Collectors often examine potential error coins under magnification to confirm key features. In an off-center coin, the abrupt cutoff of design elements and the smooth planchet where the die never hit are clear indicators of genuine error. Double dies show consistent and repeated outlines on letters or numerals that are distinct from wear or damage. Clipped planchets show unmistakable missing sections where metal was absent before striking, and broad-struck coins reveal expanded fields and undefined rims. These diagnostic traits help collectors and graders distinguish true mint errors from post-mint damage, which is crucial because only mint-made errors hold significant collector value. What makes error coins like these so fascinating is that each one represents a moment of unpredictability in a process designed for precision and consistency. These are physical artifacts of moments when something went off script. A misfeed of a planchet, a slight shift in alignment, or a die that didn't behave exactly as intended. For many collectors, owning an error coin is not just about investment. It is about owning a unique piece of mint history, something that distinguishes itself from the millions of perfectly struck counterparts. If you ever come across a 2003 Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, whether it appears misaligned, doubled, clipped, broad-struck, or oddly struck on a different planchet, take a closer look. Most dimes you encounter will be ordinary and worth only face value or a modest premium if uncirculated. But rare error varieties, when authenticated and well-preserved, have shown they can command prices ranging from about $51,500 to over $133,890 at auction. These coins remind us that even modern minting, with all its advanced technology, can produce remarkable surprises. And for collectors, Those surprises can be incredibly rewarding.